NVIDIA did something very, very big today that we really need to pay attention to, because as of right now, you may have daily momentum turning down, and that is a sign of more downside to come. So we're going to pay attention to that and a lot more as we get into some technical analysis for the SPY Qs, Apple, Tesla, Amazon, NVIDIA, AMD, and Meta going forward, looking at GME and AMC as well. And there's a very interesting signal going on over at GME. So let's get into it. Starting off with the SPY, I just wanted to let you know the daily ranges, we will be updating these tomorrow morning live. Okay, so for now I'm just low on time, but I wanted to make sure to talk about this price action with you guys for a moment today in the afternoon. So just look back tomorrow morning and I'll have these up for you. You can just come onto the video real quick, even ask me to come over, but usually I leave it up at the beginning of the live video, so you can just look at that to get these levels for tomorrow. Okay, but as of right now, we closed within that range. Okay, the Qs closed outside of it. Now the key thing to pay attention to with the SPY here is going to be the crossing over the MACD. The crossing over the MACD, if that happens, that's saying we're overall in a daily pullback, and we could see an overall pullback in the market, and we'll have to see if we're going to head outside of this early on in the week, because if we head outside of that weekly range early on in the week, we could see some kind of bounce by Friday, because this is a 68% zone, right? So 68% chance to land within this zone, but we're coming into the end of June, and what's priced in for June? Well, this is as high up as we're supposed to go, so we actually have a 68% chance to land down in this area as of this week is overall what I would say about the SPY. Now, we've seen crazy things happen before where on Friday it just sporadically goes through that, so just pay attention, follow your signals, and look at 2-hour charts. Now, why is the MACD so important? Well, we look at this on all kinds of levels, and a lot of people who are new to the market need to understand momentum. It can really help you out with trading. So if you wanted to, down in the description, there is a $100 course. It'll teach you everything that we go over on your screen every single day. We teach you how to utilize all these things, make it very clear, and put it together for a trading strategy. It'll help you out a lot and teach you how to manage your trades. Now, for the 2-hour, as of right now, for the SPY, we have to say this is overall just a pullback, right? We can't say that this is some kind of even crash for the SPY at this point, because one, you're not even coming out of the daily expected move, you're not out of the weekly, and this is still positive territory. It's still saying pullback, which means this could rotate back up at any time. So come back tomorrow so we can get you those ranges. Now, what we want to look for is signs of reversal. And what do we have here? We have a possible divergence forming towards the end of the day. Now, this has not confirmed. We've really seen downward price action. And so we want to take this with a grain of salt, because it has not confirmed, meaning this has not crossed back up. It is not going positive yet. So just pay attention to that going forward. But if this thing wants to turn up right now, it would make sense for that 2-hour to rotate back up, and then we can talk about a 2-hour divergence up in these levels. We'll pay attention to that live tomorrow morning. I just want you guys to be aware of that and be willing to trade like water, move back and forth, be adaptable. That's what we try to do on this channel. Now, the Qs, breaking down much further, right? Breaking down much further. And this is what we were talking about live. See how it's trying to hold. And then at the, midway to the end of the day, boom, starts to break down. Okay. So what happens a lot of the time is you'll fixate on this area, you'll bundle up. And if you're not able to really see that push kind of bounce off of this level, well, then you're going to coil up right in this area and then see something bad happen. So we're seeing something bad happen. This is one of those 32% chances. And overall, it tells me the Qs are probably heading for that weekly range down towards 470.89. So we'll get you the new daily expected moves, most likely tomorrow. What if a daily expected move looked right there and we just went boop, boop, right? So we have to pay attention to that going forward. As of right now, the 30-minute just pointing straight down. So any kind of bounce could be met with more selling unless this is able to fully go positive and not roll over somewhere over here, right? If you roll over negative territory, continue the negative trend. So the 2-hour for this one, also still in a pullback. So we're still a little bit more contrarian bearish, if not bullish, because this is still positive trend, but a little bit lower, and we're starting to go negative. And the thing about these weekly ranges is if we're going to see something crazy happen because of the daily wanting to cross over, right? If the daily starts to cross over, that says daily pullback, we could see something more dramatic, right? So 68% chance with these purple lines for the week that we see some kind of bounce up. 68% of the time we'll land up there, but we're outside of a monthly move as of right now. So if this starts to curl over on this MACD and say pullback, we could see something a little more dramatic. I want you to be aware of that. I don't want you to think like, oh, we went down to here, so it automatically has to bounce. So no, it's a 68% chance. And actually, when you get outside of these zones, this purple line, when you get outside of that for the week, you can start to see more dramatic things if you're not able to base out and buy back up. So I just want you to be aware of that. If this starts to pull over, well, it's still saying pullback. It doesn't mean we can't bounce or something. It just means, hey, this is most likely going to take some time to cross back up and confirm more upside, okay, for the Qs. Just pay attention to that going forward. We'll update you in the morning with those ranges. Apple. This thing seeing some weakness again. It really looked like it wanted to curl up, but now it's starting to kiss on this MACD saying, hey, I might turn down from here. If you're part of the Patreon, you get those weekly expected moves. Remember, a lot of people asking after this push, where do you think it gravitates towards? I go, well, it probably needs to go retest a 197.47, the breakout area. So I think we're heading to that. If this is able to cross over, I think we're definitely going to head for at least a test of that. So we'll pay attention going forward. But the 2 hour still positive, right? It's pretty much right on the center line. It's kind of rolling barely negative, but it's right on the center line, which just tells you tomorrow, hey, it's kind of a 50-50 flip for Apple. It's like, am I going to turn up and see this cross and see some positivity here, which that weekly expected move is not very big on Apple. I just want to tell you that right now. It's not way up here or something. It's literally like right here or something. So you can get those over on Patreon, link in the description. It's like a cup of coffee, but so if this is going to turn up, I got to be weary about that weekly expected move. That's why I think most likely we do some more damage actually. Maybe we go down, get a full test, and then we're able to swing back up. I think that would make a lot more sense, but it doesn't matter what I think. It just matters what happens in front of us. So if this MACD curls up, positive territory, positive price action. Awesome. We can test a high, we can go make a new high, or maybe that weekly range will set up a lower high. That would be interesting going forward. But if this 30-minute continues to cross over, continues to cross over, and continues to cross over, it's going to be negative, right? It's going to keep being negative as long as it's in negative territory. Now, what do you notice about this MACD? Boom, we got divergences across this thing. We have a flat one into a pointed up one now. And so if this wanted to turn up from here, it would make sense. The momentum is telling you, hey, I'm dying out a little. I just need to confirm. So this still needs to confirm and go positive. Once that goes positive, that 2 hour most likely will cross up and we could see upside. And just because that range is right here doesn't mean it has to create a lower high. Right? It could go up and use it as support and then start to move higher just like it did right here. That weekly range was right here at this point. And guess what? We bursted through it and look what happens sometimes. So 32% chance that you do see something crazy, but 68% chance that you land in that zone by Friday. That's important to remember. Tesla, this one here, curling over on a 30-minute, very, very close to negative territory. It looks like for now we're saying pullback, but that could easily go into negative trend, which means bad things if you start to lose 180.92. So you really want to hold up at this level. This level's been very important, very important. You break through big, you break through, you kind of see dramatic, you gap above it. It's just a very important level at this point to pay attention to, this 180.92 for Tesla. So pay attention. The 30-minute is saying pullback. That can get a little bit more dramatic. If it's going to turn around, then it'll continue positive. So this 2 hour, if that's able to curl up, then you may have some positivity to come a little bit higher. But for now, we said, hey, if you break down, you're probably going to retest right here. We retested the little breakout area from there, and then we go down, and then we actually retest the trend on this one. So it makes sense. It's kind of rejecting as of right now. So does it look the most positive as of now? No, but it's still in positive territory. So if that curls up anytime, positive price action can happen. Now, as we look over at Amazon, this is one that I was talking about live pretty much, pretty often. The 2 hour divergence up here. You have 2 hour divergence that can confirm. If that confirms, you're right by negative territory. It's on the MACD. It's on the RSI at the same time. So going into the shorter time frames, we see this little divergence here. And this is where I said, this looks like a great trade setup. Okay, this breaks down. If that curls back up, there would have been more positivity. There wasn't. It still can. It still can. You see how it's still right by positive. It's still there. So you have to be aware of it. But if this doesn't curl up, then that 2 hour is going to confirm and we might get more downside. Okay, we'll pay attention to that for Amazon. I just want you to be aware of both bullish and bearish scenarios where if this thing curls up, you need to know how to react. And if that 2 hour curls down, you need to know how to react. And that's very important. It's a lot of what we talk about in the course. So NVIDIA, this thing just dramatically dropping ever since I got my position. So this was pretty free money. Kind of wish I held it for a little bit. I thought there'd be some kind of bounce maybe coming for another retest or something, but you see it breaks through the wedge, retest, drops down, gaps below the important level, gaps below my 125 into a little bit of a buy zone. So this is where buyers should be lurking and we'll pay attention to it. But as of right now, you're getting these weak curl ups on the 30-minute. So it's not looking very pretty for NVIDIA. And on the 2 hour, this thing is just going negative and negative and negative. So if that continues, that might not be a good sign, right? You really want to hold up in this zone because if you start to drop a little lower, yeah, you can go to this gap, you can go to this gap, you can keep going. And there's there's plenty of levels to pay attention to. So I really just want to see, is this 2 hour going to curl back up for another positive move, or is there more work to be done? And I think right now there might be more work to be done because the daily just crossed, guys. The daily cross, so this is telling you daily pullback. If this is going to be the most brief daily pullback, we've seen those before from NVIDIA, where it just kind of like loses the 20, kind of tricks everyone, loses the 20 here, tricks everyone, and then says, okay, I'm going down. But I want to tell you about this bar because now we have a 9-day moving average up, this red line, and look how it crossed on the next bar. This is the early signal that you're going to see weakness from a stock when it starts to close below the 9 and you haven't even crossed over on the MACD yet. That is an early signal of weakness. So this bar right here giving us a little hint into today. Now we drop a little lower and it's kind of like game time. Are we going to hold up, or are we going to hold up at lower levels, maybe when this 50 is able to catch up? We'll have to pay attention. Like I said, I'm still sticking to it. If NVIDIA is going to fully pull back, I like the 95.63 level, and people thought I was crazy last week for saying that, but that's the level I really, really like, because if you get a solid pullback here, you can make another move higher and they can keep the problem going for a little bit longer. We'll pay attention to that for NVIDIA, but as of right now, this says daily pullback. If you want to learn how to trade this kind of stuff, because we were able to find those signals here, check out that course. It's only $100 for the next like 7 days. You got 7 days left. Learn a little bit, okay? Now for AMD, the daily, if that crosses up, oh, good things, right? Positive territory is there. The problem is right now it's negative and it's pointing down. So this all could be that dead cat bounce we were kind of talking about. We said you have to break through the trend last week. We were like, break through the trend and we're in business. You know, we broke through it, but we keep giving it up, okay? We keep giving it up, and this 2 hour looks like it really wants to cross back down. You see that bar at the end of the day, the 2 hour looks like it really wants to cross back down here, and if it does, well, then that would be the MACD telling you, hey, downside is the most probable option from here. Maybe we want to end up back in this gray zone, so pay attention to that. The 30-minute, you see how every cross up just gets rejected by this trend. Very, very good trend line there. You have to burst through that. So what you're going to need here is this to actually burst through, probably retest that level, and then see another move higher to confirm this is going to be a good thing, because this is a very wonky price action that can really tear you up if you're not managing the trade. If we go over into Meta real quick, what do we notice? Well, it's trying to set up this higher low. Okay, so if the 30 minutes able to curl up, boom, positivity can be there. What does that mean will happen there? The 2 hour will curl up. Look how beautiful that still looks. If it does curl up, you see the full beat down, and now it comes back up. We cross back up, we go positive, and boom, a big move happens. The only thing that's scaring me about this big move are these wicks and these big pops and big drops. So I'd be very cautious watching these. Make sure to manage it based on a 2 hour trade like we teach you in the course, because you're gonna wanna look at that 30 minute and make sure this isn't popping up and rolling right back down on that 30 minute. We just looked at some of the price action on these 30 minutes and they look a little wonky. So you wanna see that positivity come in and maybe be like, okay, I know that the market does not look the healthiest, NVIDIA doesn't look the healthiest, so if I get a pop here, maybe I want to pay attention to my weekly expected move as far as taking profit goes, okay? You use those weekly expected moves to convince you how high up the options market is telling you it can go. Don't try to make $1 million, right? The slow way is the fast way. Now, the most important signal for AMC going forward, still that 2 hour. You at least got to see that 2 hour. Technically, the most important signal is going to be daily momentum. Daily momentum is very, very important. But for now, I would say this 2 hour curling up would be a great thing. It really would. It's really close to that positive territory line still. I mean, it's not far away, so you just need a few hours of good price action. We're seeing an upward push closing like this at the end of the day. Very interesting, and then it sells off in the post market. So interesting behavior from AMC. And if you're new here, then I just want to let you know, we give those ranges on Patreon to you for AMC and GME. So you know every single week the exact level that we need to get above for a gamma squeeze, right? This is the area where you have a 68% chance to drop, but also you have a 32% chance to see something crazy. And that's what you're kind of hoping for, I think, if you're trying to make money off of this for the short seller reason. If you're invested in the company because you believe the company is good, hey, I kind of agree with you. I think their numbers are looking better. You have a big company like Netflix who's getting back into the theater business, you know? So, and they're kind of copying everything AMC's doing. And I'm just like, well, AMC is the only real theater like in my city. It's a very important business and people have jobs. So I don't like short sellers because I know that people work at AMC. I have friends that have worked at AMC and they need that money. And therefore I do not want these short sellers to put this out of business because all of those people would lose their jobs. And I think that that's not a good thing for businesses these days is to say, hey, we can just short this with money we don't even have, right? They have $10 billion, but the bank gives them $100 billion, and then they can short this into the ground. I don't like that. So I am holding the stock. I am trading it back and forth with a few positions. If this 2 hour curls up, it could be game time, right? Because 2 hour momentum is strong. But look over here. If it turns right back down, that means it is not the moment. Make sure to let your signals tell you exactly what's happening, because ever since this bar right here, AMC has never said upside on a 2 hour chart. Now the 30 minutes a little bit different. You're starting to see these little curl ups in here for fake outs, but what do we see towards the end of the day? Actually a double bottom divergence. If I pull up a 15-minute chart, there is going to be double bottom divergence here. So pay attention, because there could be a big move coming, or this is just going to pop up, drop back down, right? It's going to pop up, drop right down. Okay, so we'll pay attention to that going forward, because negative territory, you're pretty deep in it on the 30-minute, but if the 2 hour curls up in any time, that could be some good news. Now, GameStop, I want to just show you guys the great signal right away. I just want to show you this right away. Okay, this is a divergence, okay, and you do have a double bottom divergence as well at the same time. So you have a triple divergence here. Okay, you have a bunch of little divergences here, and you have a 2 hour that really looks like it wants to cross up. Now it's a little further negative, or well, I guess it's a little closer to positive, isn't it? So I just want to point out the divergences first, and then I'll show you that 2 hour. So you see the flatness actually a little bit up here, and then flatness here. So you do have the divergences here. You just need to curl up and go positive on the 30-minute. These are the signals with momentum you want to pay attention to. And the 2 hour, look at that, it wants to cross up, and I was right. Yeah, it's a little bit farther than AMC away from that center line. So it's going to take a little bit more work. But if that just crosses up, that is saying 2 hour momentum is with you, and that is a signal. The MACD is telling you there could be some kind of bounce, and if that goes positive, then you are now in a positive trend. That's how important the 2 hour is here. The level that we gave out on Patreon, if you want that opposite level, it's down here somewhere. You can get that down in the description. It's only $7 a month to get these, and I'm telling you, it is one of the most helpful tools. It is the best support and resistance, because it's literally calculated in by the options market how high a stock is supposed to go that week. So 27.79, that's the level you really want to pay attention to here. Remember, this means 68% chance to drop, but also 32% chance to see something crazy. So if you want to see something crazy, you got to get above that. Above this level pretty much means, hey, there's a good likelihood of a gamma squeeze if you can hold above 27.79. So pay attention to that. Now, lastly, I just want to say the dollar has been dropping off. Okay, so the market kind of going down here and the dollar is dropping off. So am I convinced that this is like a top as of right now? Well, when the dollar drops off dramatically like this in the overnight and then kind of stays even, we got to pay attention going on into tomorrow, because if that dollar drops again and the market is lower down towards weekly expected moves or something like that, that could mean the insiders are actually buying here and that we might see some kind of rigged move back up. So don't think that it's all game over just because NVIDIA crossed over once. It could just base out at any time and curl up on that MACD. So just pay attention to your signals is overall what this is telling me. It's like, hey, something funky could be happening here, because the dollar is dropping down dramatically while the stock market just dropped down dramatically. The Qs dropped down a little bit more dramatically than usual. So we're paying attention to it. Now, the volatility is something too, because the 2 hour curled over and said, I'm in a pullback. So the volatility here kind of telling you, hey, we still might have some upside left as of right now. So if this 30-minute wants to curl up, yeah, you can see more volatility. See if you get a triple divergence here for volatility. I think that this could be a likely scenario where the market just opens up lower, the dollar comes down, which tells you the insiders are buying, and then volatility creates this divergence, not necessarily getting too dramatic, because the SPY sold off towards the end of the day, it looks like, and what do we notice? Volatility did not necessarily pop. Now, you made a little double bottom. You're probably going to see something out of this in the morning, but I would just watch out in the morning for any kind of rigged moves, and we'll be live to talk to you about it and see if a rigged move is really happening. The dollar could just scale back up, but as of right now, that looks like insider buying to me. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Please, go into the description, get that course if you need to learn about this stuff, and if you need a tool to help you out, Weekly Ranges is one of the best tools, and you can come live and ask us about these things. But the main takeaway here is we're finally seeing NVIDIA drop off. Watch GME and AMC if they start to curl up on those 2 hours, because we could see a big move this week, and we'll be paying attention. But remember, we're just following the signals. We're never going to predict something. We're just saying the signals right now say down until that 2 hour is able to turn up for those stocks, for any stock that is. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys had some fun today. I'll get you those ranges tomorrow morning, and I hope you guys have a great night and all the luck in the world trading tomorrow. All right, peace.